Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Surprise, surprise. Got a few people here. Hey, Ninja. Boy, like a good ninja, you are everywhere. Everywhere. How's it going?
Hello, hello.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Gotta get my house in order here. How's everybody been doing? Hope you had a good holiday. Hope you made it through your weekend. If you had family to deal with or family to catch up with, I hope you got to have the most fun you possibly can. Not to bring it to a downer early, but yeah, my mom was in the hospital, so I kind of hung out Christmas there. But good reason to be home, so that's good. Yeah, Ninja, I saw that you opened all the Armada figures. How was that? I'm sorry I didn't catch that. I got mine back here on the shelf. So I know you got some good stuff. Basically, I don't have any complaints, which is weird. Sorry, my table rocks here. I just wish they had mini cons. I don't quite. I guess I'm always talking about how we take features. If you take features out of Megatron, you can have more posability and all that. So I guess if you strip the characters out of the entertainment of Armada, then mini cons are just part of it, and they just haven't got to it yet. They don't always have to be partnered up the same way. I guess. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling. But pretty good. Yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy Kwanzaa. My Google Calendar alerted me that it was Kwanzaa today. I guess and Boxing Day for those of you who go that route. What did I just do? Okay. So I don't really have too much of a topic. I found a few things. I'm cleaning the house with the people gone, mostly out of boredom. So I dug into some of my shame shelves in the basement to figure out what I got and how to organize it. So I found a few more things, and I figure I'd show some of the drawings I've been doing. And we just talk about whatever. Like most of you, I suppose some of you anyway, might be home with the week off, or not, but the day after Christmas may be off. And so I figure I'd pop in here. So I'm Aaron Archer, if you don't know. I don't know why you'd be here if you didn't. Toy designer, worked on Transformers and Batman at Hasbro and Kenner. And just talking toys tonight. Just talking toys. I put batteries in the Hiss tank, so I got the lights on there. The white lights are really cool. However, they are way too bright. I don't know. They kind of white out there, so I only have the red lights on. My room's a little I've had it darker the last couple times. Let's see here. There you go. I forgot my mood lighting setup. My bad. I'm off my normal routine. I apologize. Get the scary lighting going. Hey, Mikey Louie, Cringe McCringle, how you guys doing? How you doing? Coltron, El Kevo, Ninja. I guess a lot of people had some time. Oh, no problem. I'm glad you got that. We could talk about that. I've been drawing, if those of you following along at home, I've been drawing on instruction sheets for the last little while. Seems to be something everybody digs, so I've been doing some new ones this week. They're on archermonster.com at the shop if you don't already know. But yeah, they're fun. I'm glad you like them. I think they do frame well, and you know, the colors are nice. You know, they fold, but the paint doesn't crack. It's really strange. What I have found out is that there is a secondary coating that's applied to this paper so that it lasts a certain amount of folds, so that it is intended to be, you know, something that isn't necessarily quickly disposed of. As a result, it has this awesome coating because it's got a apparently this texture is a clay-like coating that protects the folds, and it makes a great surface for it makes a great surface for the drawings. This one's already sold. Sorry. You want to go through all of them? I've got a whole pile here. Movie Starscream. Kind of might take a little bit, although the movie characters change every time, so who's to say? Still got this lovely fella. Everybody's afraid of the stash, I think. This week I did that. That one was pretty fun to do. I haven't really gone crazy with a crown. You know, I've drawn a lot of these guys once or twice already, so I'm trying to find new angles to do these. Scorponok sold as well, so I appreciate that. If you're in the chat and you are one of those people that have purchased one of those, I really appreciate it. It's been fun to keep going with it. I am not going to TFCon LA in the end. I should have strike while the iron was hot, but as things have gone, I'm going to go to Toronto for sure. I've been invited to Baltimore, but I don't know if I haven't made that far a plan out yet. The thing I like about the Energon Optimus and the Super Mode particularly is I think it got its due. That's kind of a cool head. I mean, I angled, you know, these a little bit more, you know, than what's in the toy to make it a little bit more mecha. But that's kind of a badass Optimus. All of a sudden, I don't feel so bad about this guy. You know, his small body is a function of the toy. You know, what are you gonna do? No one's called it out yet, but I have the colors going around him correspond to the 1, 2, 3, 4 of the add-on vehicles. So that's a little insider baseball there. Well, not insider baseball, but Easter egg. Yeah, it's a whole secondary paper as a result, because I'm like, oh, how do I get this paper? How can maybe I get clean sheets that aren't folded, maybe rolls, or, you know, what is this paper? And it's quite a recipe. I talked to some engineering folks, and yeah, it's got a whole, like I said, a whole proprietary secondary coating that they pay for, that someone else invented, and as a result, that's that. Got Slug Slinger here. Oop, got a cat on my right. Kind of had fun with this one, Skywarp, although not in the movie, not quite Skywarp, so, you know. So I've just been painting away. These things, they're fun. They're fun. I did work on the original Optimal Optimus. We told that story a little bit in one of the long forms. I don't recall which one right now. But the funny story there is I was kind of up and coming. I was not on Transformers yet, but I was a person on that team anyway that would take a creative challenge. I kind of like that, especially when people said, you can't really do this. Not so much like I wanted to break the rules, but they're like, we haven't ever been able to figure this out, or we don't really like to do it because. And I kind of like to lean into that and kind of, why? So Optimal Optimus, for whatever reason, they kind of put me in conceptual charge of that item in the brainstorming process, because the guys that were working on Beast Wars and Beast Machines at the time didn't want to do it. And they kind of had this weird attitude like they had the final say versus the team leader. And that started a whole other longer, weirder conversation that ultimately both those fellows left the company. But so that's why I was kind of put in charge of this. We went to a conference room. I had 2 interns or co-ops, Ben Hitmar and Dan Sanfilippo. Both are kind of guys that have continued to work in toys. And we came up with a weird set of features and goals, and that's why it is kind of this one-off odd item that has its own. I mean, if you look at it, it's kind of a standalone weird thing. It's connected to Beast Wars, but it's connected to G1 in a way. So yeah. Didn't know that it would have the impact that it has, or kind of be remembered the way it is. So pure, just fun toy design, kind of solving a problem. That was our situation at the time. The movie Optimus sketch. Yeah, that one turned out really nice. I kind of, this is my middle ground. I like the movie lines and cuts and things. I don't mind the movie eyes. They're cool. But I want a little bit more traditional mask, so I kind of push it towards G1 a little bit, clearly. Ooh. So under all these paintings, how I start with all of them, underneath all of these is a Sharpie drawing that looks exactly like that. So that's Sharkticon to come one of these days. But that's what they all look like underneath that. They all have a Sharpie because the Sharpie doesn't bleed. It glides real good on that paper as well. It dries really quick, and it doesn't come through the paint covers. So that's kind of one of my funny things. And then I had fun. I got kind of, no offense, but I drew a lot of robot heads. I wanted to kind of try something else for a minute. So I found a duplicate of Quick Mix that I didn't think anybody would lament if we didn't have another Quick Mix head. So I drew a Batman on that one. Kind of. There you go. Still working on it. It's not finished. But wanted to do something a little different. Let's see here. Let me go back and answer some questions here. Yeah, I mean, Cringe McCringle, that's one of the great things. I really do value the fandom of Transformers in the fact that it's had so many segments over the long haul of 40 years now, so many contact points, so many different styles, so many different storylines. You can be a Transformer fan a lot of different ways, and we all kind of, collectively call ourselves, Transformer fans, even though one might come from G1, one might come from animated, another from the movie. And that's what's great. And we kind of accept everybody's thing, and that's what's fun. So that's cool that you're a Bayverse kid. I worked hard for you to have a fun childhood. So that's cool. T-Formers 2002. You know what? Let me check. I haven't checked the mail today. Is that the animated Starscream? I have not checked. Yeah. I did not. I'll let you know. But because my family's not here, I have neglected the mail. My mail is kind of out in the goes through my house in the garage. So unless I go through the garage, which I haven't left the house. Sorry. So a little inside baseball there. I'm sure it made it here fine though. Yeah, Energon Optimus is a fun toy. Originally, I'll talk a little bit about it. We'll tell this more in a long form, but we had so much fun with that interactive Armada, super pants feature that we wanted to replicate that somehow. And we were looking at a lot of really interesting things. Looked at a trailer that held all those four limbs, and it kind of opened up and like would shoot them out, and some stuff that was a little more watch me in the toy business. Something that's watch me is like the kid's not playing with it, and it probably means the kid will watch it happen one or two times, and then you've spent a lot of money for something that seems really cool and really advertisable, but the kid's only going to use one handful of times, and then you're going to feel a little So that's a watch me toy, and that was a bad thing. Oh, got the cat there. So how did I get in on that? Anyway, I lost track of my questions here. Optimus looks like a construction worker. Yeah, he does kind of have that vibe. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, my Batman kind of because I did the toys, we had this attitude of either, you go long everything or short everything, and everything is short and squatty. So yeah, I kind of do a thick neck. Those ears are even a little long for the thickness of that neck, I think, but it'll all work out in the end. So the Energon Optimus went through a lot of things. At the same time, it had it ran into one of these. What happens in toys is that the stuff gets costed out, and market prices of things always creep up, so over time costs do go up. But then you would have things like an oil embargo or some sort of war, or before there was, SARS, there was MERS over in Hong Kong and things that, slowed that stuff down, changed cost of goods. So that product suffered from a weird timing of when it was going through the system, and we lost some value out of the item, and we had to change really quick. And that's why it doesn't have that much of a electronics feature or any spring-loaded launching. All that stuff is kind of truncated in that item. And I made it a bit drab. He should be more poppier. The Takara one is the way to go. So little there on Energon Optimus. Oh wow, 07 liter Megatron. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I chilled out. Like I said, my family is in Rhode Island, so we talked on the phone and caught up and everything. But I've been home with the cats and just tidying up, putting little labels on things and dusting in weird corners and stuff that you don't get to. So that's what I've been up to. It's a Val Kilmer Batman. That's funny. Well, that would have been the first Batman I would have done. Yeah. That's what Laser Cape Batman there, which is also on the shelf. Yeah, it's kind of behind the Flash there. That's my very first Batman. And that's it in package right there. Hey, Alan, how are you? Bigum, how's it going? So this is the one I've been working on today. It's, I don't know, probably 90% done. I kind of went crazy on that one, kind of filled up the paper Don't know if that's good or bad. Sorry, that light is really kicking off. They're usually not that shiny, but with the light on them, they really kick. So, just having fun with Vector. So most of those are up on the store at archermonster.com. So check that out. I also was going through little pockets and bags of goofy stuff, and I must have stashed, because I don't really like these things, but I stashed all these label sheets for, must be Brave or one of the other series. Yeah, this one too. I don't think this is Gundam. I think this is a... So, Ninjatron, if you have an answer for me there, let me know. Then I even have my Gundam label sheets I found. I don't know what this one is. This might be printed in Japan. This has got to be... Well, I don't even know. Microman. Not really sure. It's kind of metallic. That kind of fun stuff. What is this one? Wow. Deodroids? I don't even know what that is. Don't even know what it is. I found this, which is crazy. This is to Drake from Aliens back in the 90s. The fact that this label sheet exists is funny. I found this and a few G.I. Joe label sheets and things. 1992. Wow. I'm going to take over to my local toy shop and just give them to Cliff. See if he can't upgrade any of the junk he's got with him. I don't need them. So we'll see how that works out. Is it true that you did not make figures with the appearance of Danny DeVito Penguin for the Batman movie since his appearance was secret? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the history of that one. That was slightly before me. I was in college when that movie came out. Yeah, they just used the old Superpowers Penguin, right? It probably was all secret too, so that played a part. Anytime a movie studio wants to be secret with stuff, it just means the main toys that people want, because it was so cool to keep that secret, get pushed out, or things aren't as cool as they could be. You know, Disney made an edict that they didn't want any of the first early wave products to have Rey with a lightsaber, because they felt that would give away that towards the end of the movie type scene, before the movie even came out. So as a result, there either wasn't a lot of Rey or no Rey with lightsaber in a lot of the early items, not just Hasbro items, but any items in the games and everything. So kind of created their own missed opportunity there. Same with Grogu, right? There was no... When they want to hold back stuff for the big secret, that is great for the entertainment, and that's wonderful. But anybody downwind who participates in licensing programs unfortunately misses out or has to chase that opportunity. So I bumped a shelf of alternators. Oof. Yeah, wow. Sorry, man. That sucks. I recently knocked over a little shelf and knocked the arm off a hand-built Prime model that was part of a promo thing early on. So that stunk. That definitely stunk. So I feel for you. I feel for you. And hello. Pinkibus. Boy, I could go a lot of different ways with that one. Have you ever drawn the Lost BotCon Ice Planet Snowcat? The Lost BotCon Ice Planet Snowcat. I don't know if I know that one. I did do the Energon Snowcat based on the G.I. Joe vehicle of the same name. That was clearly a day that I was trying to not only be, I was clearly unimaginative and also self-gratifying myself through doing one of my favorite vehicles from my childhood toy experience with the Snowcat. So I still don't know if that was a good idea. Too much, and interjecting a little too much of myself into the toy line. Maybe, I don't know. That's looking back of it, of course. I don't know for sure, but I think some of those could be from Brave. Yeah, I think 2 of them are from Brave. That's where I would have got them, and just put them off to the side. I usually don't apply labels to anything. My son has broken me of Lego labels. He has to have them put on, and I for years did not put them on. I got a big stack of them, as a matter of fact. Anyway, I'm not a big label fan in that regard. Yeah, movies with the spoiling, it's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because you want people to be surprised, but then the part you gotta hype up everybody. I remember a conversation back before the prequel or the J.J. Abrams movie came out. I sat down with my friends and we were all talking about the trailer or what was going to happen with Star Wars. They were working on it, and I said they shouldn't even do a trailer. Everybody knows what Star Wars is. Everybody's going to go. Don't even do a trailer. Nothing. Maybe the spaceship's flying around. I don't know, but obviously they didn't go for that kind of thing. But that's how I think. Like you don't almost kill them with anticipation, and then nothing's a spoil. But you have to spoil it if you put something in a trailer, right, or a commercial. So I don't know. Oh man, Swerve. He's got gold on him too. For the Jurassic Park 3 figures, did you have direct access to Mark McCready's designs, or did Universal give you any approved designs? No. As a matter of fact, I mean, they had sent maquettes to Kenner, although, the maquettes are what they are. Back then, they weren't as helpful as you'd think for toy development, miniature toy development. So we had the binders they would send us, but we didn't have any two-way access. So if they didn't give it to us, we didn't have it, and we couldn't ask anybody for it, really. So a lot of that was just kind of made up on the fly, based on kind of the general world of Jurassic Park styling that had gone on at Kenner and within the movies. So that's kind of how I approached it. So, Alan, got a discussion for you. Been wondering what all you can say about the toy testing in regards to figuring out what kids like or dislike. Wow. That's a good topic. You got to look at it from the 1,000-foot view, and that you have to look more at overall trends and being somewhere, either boldly going out somewhere first or being a fast follow, right? That's true of almost anything, not just in toys. As far as testing in regards to what you think kids will like or dislike, That actually isn't part of it as directly as you'd think. We would product test new play patterns, new feature type set, new ways to play. We would test that kind of thing with how do kids react to it? Do they inherently understand it? Is it more difficult? How big should something be? And that's where you bring in models of, Nerf would bring in their blasters, and Transformers, we brought in different things at different times, and would test, Medabots, and can you build this Zoid, and stuff like that. Not so much what would they like or dislike, but just in the zones, because you're basing a lot of it on trends, and a lot of it is coming from participating in partnerships that are going to get the full blast advertising. The Taco Bell ad, or the fast food restaurant ad, and the movie hype, and the TV shows, and the talk shows, and the late night shows that's going to be talking about whatever property that is, the technology, or the return of, or the first time that, or they finally brought this to the masses kind of thing, whatever the angle is. And you ride that. So as much as you'd like to think, you don't really figure out what kids like until, like I said, either you've done research, and you've done maybe a little focused testing, and you feel good about it. Maybe you have good indicators, or like I said, then you're a fast follow, because hey, that's working. Let's also try that. And that's true of all of it. So Alan, I hope that answered your question. But figuring out what kids like or dislike was probably not part of the equation. That was taken into account when we made the deal in the first place with like a Star Wars or Disney princesses or whatever. To be clear, the toy leaked before it was supposed to. Likely the movie being pushed back didn't help. Are we talking about the penguin still? Spoiler alert. Hey Barrett, how are you? I wanted to ask, how do you guys come up with the idea of making the Cybertron Planet Primus toy? Well, we liked the Don Figueroa image in the book of in the Ultimate Guide. Ooh, did the lights go off? Are they on a timer? Wow, look at that. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Pincubus. I'm going to keep going with that one. So that was part of the inspiration. We had already done Unicron, so we had a sense of the layout of how to do a planet. One of the old G.I. Joe designers, Dave Kunitz, brought me those one day at work. He had these two G2 era napkins he gave me from back in the day. I still have them. Kind of funny, the stuff we keep around, huh? All right. So we are at the Toy Armada half-hour point. Thanks for being here. Got a good crew. How many of you are not working this week? But did the Batman, probably better for a long-form podcast, but why did Batman Beyond Toy Line only have a couple of villains? Well, that's an interesting question, and probably Helkevo probably is better for a long form, but the short answer is I think that show was maybe even syndicated, or it was on the WB, which wasn't everywhere, so it didn't get a lot of airing. It was kind of far out in some regards, and a lot of the villains we planned got canceled. So timing, it was a downtrend for that whole effort. Rather than doubling down on Batman Beyond, they moved on to Justice League and Superman and Batman, World's Finest, and ultimately I think it kept going with it, JLA, or the old Justice League and everything. So they kind of pushed the animated world back into classic versus the future of Batman. So that was just part of the natural progress of what they did. So I hope that answered that. But we can definitely do a long form on the whole Batman Beyond experience. I have some first-hand experience there. I was in the rooms. I feel like that would make a good podcast segment. Oh, yeah. The next segment is a Transformer one focused on kind of a single character. It should be coming here, hopefully this week. I just sent some new art over that I found. Hey, Baron. Happy holidays as well. Nice. All right, Alan. How does the company gauge who's buying their products or not? For years, we've heard adult collectors don't make up a huge percentage of toy sales. How is that measured? Well, that's largely measured through the same metrics that they track all of us through our credit card purchases and who's purchasing and where they're purchasing and what else they're purchasing with that. So if you're purchasing toys and diapers and stuff, sometimes they're going to go that way and might not always realize that it's an adult collector. That's one small sliver. They're selling it to toy stores or more at kid store, toy stores versus the Walmarts and Targets, big box stores, everything stores. That adult collector percentage, certainly has gone up over the, almost 25, 30 years I've been associated in toys. When I started, it was definitely very small, and it was insignificant enough not to even want to bring up, because you would not be taken seriously if you worried about, something as, not as controversial as you would think, but it was maybe back then to say, let's improve the sculpting so that we can get the people who buy the comic books to also maybe buy some plastic things. That was a radical approach to think about, because they were largely focused on selling to kids and moms and based on kid entertainment and PG entertainment. So all these things change and ebb and flow. So I'd have to do a little more research, but I still don't think, if you look at the price points of the toys, you can definitely tell where, in my opinion, where they focus, where they think the collector dollars are coming from, or let's call them enthusiast dollars, because you can be 15 and be an adult collector, or the same mentality, right? It's someone who's an enthusiast, who takes it seriously, who's going to keep these things for the long haul for whatever reason, in pack or not, versus play and destroy and go and toy box and fad in and out. So it's really on your intent, and but you can look at the price points, and there's some high price points out there that I'm sure aren't intended for kids. But that's kind of a rambling answer. I'll have to think about it a little bit more too. Yeah, Coltron, I hear you there. I'm trying to find a full-time gig myself. Tough out there. Keep freelancing, I guess. My family comes home Thursday, so that'll be nice. My holy three grails from Beast Machines are the three-headed dog, the Night Viper, and Cobra and Battle Union. But now they are expensive. Can you talk to someone at Hasbro about making new figures or reissue? Yeah, they don't really... They don't really need to hear from me, probably. Maybe someone's listening. Yeah, we should definitely do some Energon podcast episodes in 24, no doubt. It's time to move on to that. It's the kind of the next phase. We've done a lot of Armada. We have a few more left, I suppose, but there's a lot of good questions to be had for Energon as well, no doubt. The entire story of Batman Beyond is kind of fascinating. Torture may be the wrong word, but exactly what a great thing was made out of somewhat that seemingly nobody wanted to work on. Yeah, it was very strange. When I talk about it, I'll be able to take you through all the different angles of what we thought it was, what we heard, what was happening at the time. There's some interesting stories there, at least from the Kenner perspective. I can't speak to what was going on with the actual show other than what they told us. But yeah, that'll be on the short list, I suppose. As far as Batman segments go, Batman Beyond, has its own fan base and it's sequestered in its own way, so that makes it easy. It's a show and the toys. Yeah. Will you ever do a toy Armada on the inconsistencies of continuity surrounding the Armada, Energon, and Cybertron? Love to pick your brain on that. Well, if we're talking about the animation inconsistencies, I can't really speak to that. It's just kind of miscommunication and speed and, the jumble that happens. If you want to talk about comic book continuity versus animated continuity versus Japanese animated continuity, we could do a little bit of that, but I don't know if we'll do a whole thing on it. Mostly because I'm not as knowledgeable about that. I wasn't as diligent like you all might be. Kind of, hey, something's not right here. Oh man, Ninja. Skylink's deep dive, yeah, more like a diatribe more than a deep dive, or a deep diatribe. Yeah. What franchise license would you love to see a toy line for that never got any merchandise? That's an interesting question. Well, I don't know if I have a good answer for you, but I am charmed every time I see any of the Super 7 G.I. Joe characters that were in the animated shows or the comics that never got a figure, like Quinn or Dr. Venom or the blind, wilderness guy or the Giants. I could go on and on. I mean, I'm still waiting for him to make, the eels and stuff. So those are the kinds of things I really like to see that never got characters made. So when you're saying merchandise, I don't know. I'm not the type that needs plastic made out of everything exactly, so I don't know if I have a good answer there. I'll have to think about that. When Dreamwave had their top-selling Transformer G1 comic running, there was no toy line to go with it. Was that discussed? Well, we had the G1 reissues going on. That was kind of how we approached it. And then they did the Armada comic, which kind of coincided with Armada. But in our mind, we had the G1 reissues going, and that served that need. We weren't in any position at that point to be doing Pat Lee level or Dreamwave design Transformers, if that's what you're suggesting. That was never really discussed. Man, I want to see Inhumanoids get some new toys. Yeah, the Super 7 Silverhawks look pretty cool. I don't know. I don't know if we're at a point. I'm curious about. Have you guys seen the 6-inch Marvel Crystar? I didn't know Marvel had the property of that old back of comic kind of property, but it's like a blue crystal dude with a red crown and gloves and boots. Anyway, I got a question if we need everything remade or made for the first time, if it doesn't have some pop to it, if it doesn't have a new something to promote it, it gets a little tough to know who wants the stuff. But the rights to the Inhumanoids are a bit complicated. Well, Inhumanoids, the 1980s monster, science warriors kind of concept, that name Inhumanoids for that is no longer available to Hasbro, to at least at a certain point it wasn't. I don't know what's gone on in the last 10 years. But because they deferred to Marvel when they contested it at some point about the Inhumans, and they didn't want confusion, so Hasbro was not making, or Kenner wasn't making Inhumanoids at the time, so it was like, yeah, whatever. That was an old property that no one thought that was coming back or needed to be kept for any reason or fought for. So that is why you sometimes would hear the term Primordia used, at least in part of my era. If you're really paying close attention to weird Hasbro side brands, we internally started calling Inhumanoids Primordia. But it didn't go very far. It's in that weird New York Comic Con comic book. You get a glimpse of what could have been. The U.S.-Japanese continuity. The easy answer is we needed ours done 6 months earlier than Japan, and the animation company was really working on the Japan schedule, not the U.S. schedule, and that caused, unfinished, unpolished, misworked items. So, a deep dive diatribe, yep, pretty good. Why the Joker in the Batman Beyond line look like a big dinosaur, not the Joker in the movie? Are we talking about the big pompadour Joker? Because it's not really the Joker, at least my understanding. It was like a Joker-inspired gang that was kind of into them, or into him. It was made to be licensed to a toy company. Look at you, Ninja. Yeah, I saw that toy. I'm like, why do I have a weird feeling like I need to have that? All because of those weird comic book ads as a kid, right? You should try to contribute a story arc and art for the comics. I'm not really a comic artist per se, so I don't know if that's something anybody needs. I've certainly done it, but that's not, there's professionals out there that do that. Well, you can bring back anything, and I think your sarcasm is duly noted, because in the world we live in today, just because you make it doesn't mean they'll come, and if you don't make it with a certain amount of credibility, whatever that means, that could be the creative credibility, the historical credibility, the referential, or the reinvention, whatever the credibility needs to be. You got something if it's worth doing. But just to throw stuff out there because you own that property, and I really don't want to pick on Aquaman, but even before all the Schneider Universe stuff, no one really cared about Aquaman. You have to put one of the coolest, biggest, dudes, warrior dudes ever. Doesn't even really fit the Aquaman look, but you have to put like this super popular guy even in the character to make it something anyone even cares about. And then you don't put all that other stuff, that Halo stuff around it in the right way, and then all of a sudden Aquaman has these movies that do, why I don't care. I don't care. And the hierarchy, just because you make it doesn't mean we care. So you better do something nice with it, something good with it. Let's see. Yeah, monsters. I mean, kaiju are. They've been back, So we've gone through. So another thing you asked about, how do we know what kids like? Okay, there are larger trends that if you go all the way back, kind of wave through time, and they kind of wave through this like that too. And there's arcs and ebbs and flows of popularity of things like superheroes versus science fiction versus more, hand combat kind of stuff. The types of storylines. There's when things they're new and they make these big peak and then they disappear for a long time, but there's this residue and comes back in like a second generation. Transformers lived through that. Star Wars lived through that. G.I. Joe has lived through that. Turtles kind of has lived through that. So kaiju is one of those things. 70s, it was big, giant monsters, and then kind of fell back, and then there were some little beeps and bops. But then we have, Pacific Rim, you have Transformers, you have Godzilla, you have Kong, you have the blended legendary universe. Cloverfield, and so kaiju has been, also in there, and monsters. You have your vampire era and your werewolf era, and we've gone through the zombie era. And that doesn't mean you won't see good zombie things, but it has now. If you see a zombie thing, it better be good, right? Or a vampire thing, it better be good, because I've seen whole trilogies that were really good. I've seen multiple iterations of Blade, for instance. And all that stuff. I've seen the pretty vampires. I've seen the gritty vampires. I've seen the old world European vampires. And at this point, if you're coming out with something vampire-y, it better be good. Same with zombies. It better be good, because otherwise we've had enough of it. So I'm diatribing a little bit. But I could teach a class on this kind of mentality of why we've squandered so much potential out of interesting properties to the hands of entertainment captains for the sake of the money, not the property, getting a deal done and having names associated with it versus the long-term care of someone's, unique IP or the opportunity to have that IP for generations versus a quick hit. Anyway, well, that Ninjatron, that computer virus, Joker, was a whole different segment, not connected to Batman Beyond. So I'll just leave that there as a little what? There's a whole other pitch and presentation that went. Sorry, I'm checking my text to make sure nothing's going on with Mom. But yeah, we're all good. So I'll talk about that whole other segment that doesn't even exist because they liked the products enough, but they just rolled it into Batman Beyond because it was just an easier communication than try to sell in another segment. So, we go. So if you are thinking about the sketchbooks or the art, check out archermonster.com. I appreciate that. Always on sale. The art comes and goes. Right now there's a good selection of odds and ends. I'm trying to keep the prices reasonable. So check that out. Please and thank you. Transparent plastic designs in Beast Machines and Microman 2000s are aesthetically similar and produced at the same time. Was this something that was in the water at the time, or was it intentional? I don't know. Beast Machines, probably not. I mean, other than Takara's expertise with it at the time, you got to get the mixture right to get a good clear as well as something that's not brittle. So you don't want any little clouds or streaks. So to get something clear is its own thing, and then to get it not to be so brittle that you can use it in different ways is difficult. So they must have been doing that at the time. If Jeff Johns couldn't make Aquaman cool, then it can't be done. Yeah, a little bit. So how much about the live-action Transformers movie development do you think you can get into with the toy Armada? A fair amount. I've talked fairly openly. I'm on the DVDs. We talked, although that's a little promo-y. But, things I've said at BotCons, unofficial, and then otherwise. I'm not currently been handcuffed in any way. I don't go out of my way to talk about things I know I shouldn't talk about, and company type things. But the fact that things are out there, I can comment on it. So I can talk a lot about it. I mean, I was in the art departments. I had many meetings with Michael Bay, many meetings with the various producers, including Steven Spielberg, and they all contributed to the execution of the movie. Was the 13 Primes toy project ever turned into anything? Well, I never intended that to be a toy project. That was more of a idea of this brand shouldn't be tied to just the toys, the toy bios, and the cartoons as it goes. It should have an underpinning of its own mythology, and kind of wanted to make that continuity more clear and understood. We called it the aligned continuity, but that was just because there were so many segments and elements from each segment that was interesting. But we never talked about purposely making toys of that. Some people have, but that was never my goal. My goal was really just to clarify the backstory of how the war started, how different people, why Optimus and Megatron don't like each other and have a different point of view. How did this war happen, and all of that. So yeah, Jiro got his love, and now he's gone. I was hoping that in Beast Machines there would be more mythological animals, since in Beast Wars we had the Red Dragon, Tiger Hawk, and yeah, they always talked about it. It was always a something cool to get into. Eventually they did the three-headed dog, and the unicorn, the battle unicorn. But there was always this fear, because it was born out of some of the Beast Wars items themselves, and certainly some of the Fusors, that it's a puzzle. A Transformer is a puzzle, and you want the kids to be able to easily identify when they have achieved the other puzzle. And it was deemed certain, it was deemed certain characters or creatures, to your point, some mythological creatures, were a little vague. Like, maybe kids don't know, in every case, what something might be. So there was that fear. And things like horses weren't easily made, so that took out that's why they did the unicorn so small, and that took out a Pegasus kind of option. I think we thought of Tigerhawk as a griffin, right? But after that, we were worried about the form, or they were worried about the forms. I remember this discussion was the discussion happening, and I was part of some brainstorms. But that was the constant worry, like, well, are they identifiable enough? And that's a fair point that we maintained as a concept. You know, you want to know when you're done, and that's why you know, the robots tend to be humanoid, because you want them to stand and, oh, okay, he's got arms, legs. When we would do different things, we're trying to make them a little more Hulk-like or weird. You know, some of those get a little off. So there you go. Yeah, so I've been so that's Kevo. Yeah, I don't have it. It's getting done. My art guy has all these scans that I've been doing of all of these. We are, you know, I do not own the underpinning Hasbro, Takara, or Hasbro in this case, paper. So we have to fuzz all this out, unfortunately, and just get the artwork. So yeah, that is volume 3. Will be 36 pages of the Posca portraits, and some of the planets and all of that. So I'm still probably targeting March for that, still around the time of TFCon LA. I'll have it out and available well before TFCon Toronto. I won't be debuting that at TFCon Toronto. Yeah, it'll definitely be out before then. But that is the third art book. Peter David and Grant Morrison, yeah, those were good eras. You can make Aquaman cool in the comics, don't get me wrong. But as far as cool enough, mass market enough recognition, you know, just might not. He's not quite the same. Although, you know, they talk a lot about how no one knew who Iron Man was, and I remember Hasbro. We bet on the Hulk over Iron Man when those two movies were in development, because the Hulk was a better known commodity, and I was like, had a different take. But Hammer Strike's a pretty good one. That's a funny one. Hey Matt, yeah, I just popped in on everybody. I gave everybody a half-hour notice. Sorry. So we've been going here for about an hour. Yeah, an instruction art book without the instructions, unfortunately. That's the sad reality of it. Where is that one? One of these was really fun to do because, yeah, it was the Energon Optimus. Because I kind of filled up everything underneath. This is just the caution because of the electronics. So I could kind of fill up that whole space and not really worry about it. Most of the transformation is actually on the back. So yeah, archermonster.com if you want to find stuff like that on the store. As I was going through today and cleaning, I found another kind of old archive of the Night Force Ninja. Back then we called it Batman Ninja Warriors. So this was my designs up until November 13th, 97. We sent this pitch out, and unfortunately this one has water damage. But we sent this to Alan Burnett based on here's what our plans were, and if it had any meaning to them, you know, let's talk about it. What I do remember, which is funny here because I don't have this in any other form, we didn't have the toys at Toy Fair that year. we had these boards made to kind of show what the line would be. Kind of funny, based off all the toy development work that we were doing. So we'll get into that. Let's see. I love the Fallen instruction artwork. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Alan Burnett. We used to talk to those guys. Very hard to see, but yeah. In some ways, it was a smaller world back then, and we were able to have a more direct line of communication at times with some of those guys. Kind of interesting to think back of now. Didn't make a rugby cube out of the old Spark. What's a rugby cube? I don't know that one. All right. Well, I think I'm going to be wrapping it up here. Never heard back from Pinkybus. Did we? Just wanted to clarify what they meant there. Hope I answered the question. So, my family comes back Thursday, so I don't know. I'll probably do another one next Monday. So this was kind of... was tired of cleaning all day. Needed to talk to somebody. Even it was myself in my room to a bunch of scrolling letters. But I hope everybody has a good holiday and a good New Year's. If I don't talk to you, I guess next Monday will be New Year's, huh? Would that be New Year's Day? Yeah. I'll do New Year's Day, right? That's fine. So I appreciate everybody. Good fun, odds and ends discussions. Definitely some good some topics to add to the long form. And we definitely know we need to get the Energon. So I appreciate everybody, and we will see you again soon. All right. Thank you. The cat says good night too.